Hello guys, welcome to Bible study with Ada. How are we? How are we doing? How is it going? My voice is a little just bear with me to get better as I speak. How are we? How's the week? How's it going? So we have been looking at the life of Joseph. It's been terror. Joseph has been in the prison. His brothers have been diabolical. He has been doing some good deeds. We've been seeing how his mindset or where his mind has been. And the last that we heard of him, he interpreted a dream. He did a favor to, a baker and a butler. And he said to the butler, remember me in paradise. Literally. And the guy forgot. So it's been 2 years. Now let's see how Joseph has been. Before we go on, this is the time for you to subscribe. Subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so. It's important for you to do so. Alright, and also share. If you listen and it blesses you, share. Let's look at the Bible together. Alright, it's a long read, so we're going to be quick. Alright, so it's been 2 years. I hope you have read it. Well, you should have. It's been 2 years, and the king of Egypt dreamt that he was... So it's been 2 years, and the king of Egypt dreamt that he was standing by the Nile River when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and began to feed on the grass. So because of time, I'm not going to read this, but we know the story. The 7 thin cows came up and ate the 7 fat cows. And when they ate these cows, they didn't even get bigger. Sorry about that. So they didn't even get bigger. So the evidence of people eating the cows were not there. That was basically what he dreamed. That was the first one. And then he had a similar dream with crop, and then this weird looking, let me see, what was it? He fell asleep. 7 heads of grain. The weird looking heads of grain came and ate the good heads of grain. So that was basically the dream. I mean, we all know this from basic Bible study, right? And basic, CRK or CRS, whatever it is, right? So that was the dream that the king had, and he was very disturbed by the dream. But before we get that, I wrote something on my notes, right? And I was like, it was literally 2 years. So the Bible started with the fact that it was 2 years, and I was writing that. My goodness, it just seemed like it was just literally yesterday that the dream was interpreted, and the guys were released, and the other guy unfortunately got his head removed. But then I'm like, how did Joseph feel that he was abandoned, that butler slighted him? Oh my goodness. So what was going on in prison? Because remember, Joseph was still in prison. Yes, he was the head of the prisoners, but it was still prison. It was not paradise. Was he still thinking about these things? Was he still thinking about his dreams? Because the wait was long. And it just tells me that, to be fair, right, sometimes the good that we do, we think that it's supposed to be repaid immediately. He did a good thing. He interpreted their dreams, especially one of them got, the praise and everything that he said. And you think that the good of a righteous should be repaid immediately, right? And then sometimes you think, has God forgotten? And well, it also says that first things first. We should be doing good, not because we're expecting something back. We should just do it because we are good. And where we stand in this kingdom, that's how our Father is. So we should do things like that. But other than that, it just tells me that wait is part of it as a Christian. Like, waiting is part of it as a Christian. Like, imagine you had to wait an extra 2 years. In my mind, I would have been like, God, what is all this? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, was Joseph learning? Was he still learning? Was he still doing well? Was he still diligent? Was he tired? Sometimes when we think of the wait, we put like a time to it. Maybe like, I can wait on the Lord for like 5 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. But then 2 years has passed, where he seemed to have done something good and something kind, maybe expecting that, this guy literally in the grand scheme of things is very close to the king. By now he should have mentioned me. But that's not how it works. God's timing is perfect. Now let's think about it. What if he had mentioned him earlier? And then what if somehow Joseph has been released, right? And then Joseph is no longer in prison. We don't know where Joseph goes to, whether Joseph goes to, obviously Potiphar will not take him back, but maybe Joseph now goes back home, and then the jailer that does not even know where Joseph is, and everyone in the town is looking for Joseph, because at that time, maybe, the butler had told the king, and the king required something. And what if the butler was just telling the king? So, I mean, in the previous instance, we can't find Joseph. We don't know where Joseph is. What if the butler was just telling the king and just like, there's this guy. There's the way you talk about somebody too much, and then someone of high power, it's like, what is it? Like, it's not even that deep anymore. What if he had told he still so much that he had belittled his value? There's something like that, right? And then because, value is gotten from a season where, how do I put it? So he might have told the tale so much that there was no need for Joseph. So the king would have been like, okay, so what is this? Maybe he's a magician. Okay, bring him. Let him be somewhere. Like, just give him one cheap promotion and nothing comes out of that. But God had to orchestrate in a way that his time, there was a need, and it was only Joseph that could, meet that need. That's God's timing, right? So we move on. We see that, I'm just going to be using my notes a lot. We see that the king had a dream, and it tells us that God still speaks to us with dreams. We've been studying the book of Genesis, and we've been seeing in different species that God spoke through dreams. It's something that he still does. And I like the fact that the king he woke up disturbed. Like, he was very concerned as to what's the meaning of these dreams. And he also tells us that when a vision or a dream is not interpreted, it causes frustration normally. In the workplace, in an organization, everywhere, right? It just has the ability to cause frustration. And I wrote something in my notes. It just tells us that as human beings, we want clarity. It just tells us as naturally as human beings, we want clarity. We don't like confusing things. For a king to be disturbed, right, is a natural thing. And it's a call that Christians, are called to be dream interpreters. It's just that thing, because in a world like this, there is this there is this hunger for clarity. It's just there. That's how we were wired. So we are called to be solution providers, because is a system that should not allow problems to stay long without solutions. That is how we are all wired. I put it in my notes that uninterpreted dreams always cause frustrations and all of that. So we are called, and it just tells us how the Bible says that the world is waiting for the earnest manifestations of the sons of God. Like, they're waiting, sons of God to provide solutions, sons of God to be light. That's what the world is waiting for, because that's how we're wired, right? And also, I saw that in the dreams, right? God can emphasize things. I think it was when I read this for the first time when I was younger, I realized that, because I dream a lot. I realized that, if I have the same dream or similar dream twice, God is saying something. God is saying something. We find that also in the Bible. When the Lord wants to emphasize something, he says it over and over again. So I saw that, and I saw that even kings can have dreams, right? And in this story, he had this dream, and he called the wise men, he called the magicians, and they were not able to interpret his dreams. I'm like, what are the people that have done something so well that they have been given that, opportunity, or given that name, right? Probably they might have been interpreting dreams before, or they have walked in a level of wisdom that they are called wise men, right? And they have performed some acts that made them to be called magicians. But it tells you that it's not even by the names anymore, right? There are some things that the Lord will orchestrate. It's not going to be for magicians. It's not going to be for the people that are qualified. It's not going to be for the people that have the wisdom of the world, right? It's going to be for the sons of God. Why? Just so that God will be glorified, right? That's just what it is. So it tells me that the Lord will orchestrate a problem sometimes, right? That only those that he has given wisdom and the sons of God that can solve that problem. We're going to see later on, because I was just wondering, like, why couldn't these people interpret these dreams? They have probably done so before. But then Joseph reminded us that dream interpretation, that knowledge was from God. And obviously God did not give it to these guys. God chooses to give it to who he chooses to give it to. And then he gave it to Joseph, right? So we move on, and then obviously that's when the butler now remembers that, oh, I've made a grave mistake, pardon me, oh, I forgot this guy. And he tells the king, oh, there's this guy interpreted my dream, all of that story. And first things first, I was like, at least he was remorseful. And we need to learn to be like that, right? When we have made a mistake, we should own up to it. And then he did the right thing, and then quickly, as I said, I'm just going to be rushing through this, right? So the Bible will mention that quickly they sent for Joseph. And I was just like, quickly? This guy had been there for how long? 2 years back, nothing happened. But when the time of the Lord came, quickly he was sent for. Like, when the time of the Lord came, quickly he was sent for. And I'm just like, wow, God is good. Like, when it's God's time, things are going to happen very fast, because that's how his life was. They called him, he groomed himself. Obviously, there's a way to appear before a king. You have to be groomed. He groomed himself, he came, and then the thing shocked me. The king was giving him, like, should I say, a chance to take the glory. He was like, oh, I've heard of your deeds, I've heard what you did, blah, 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 that you can interpret dreams. In my mind, I was like, Joseph would have just let that go, because he was not directly going to be at fault. Yes, he interprets dreams. But then Joseph didn't let it go. And I'm like, why though? Why didn't he let it go? Because He could have just let it go, but then he corrected it. He said, no, I do not have that power. It's God that has that power, and he will give the king ease. And I'm like, what are those little things in my life? Just those little white lies that, I mean, I can let it go, but I need to actually be upfront and give God the glory. And he just tells us too that Joseph has grown. He was quick. But this was Joseph before that used to boast about his dreams. Remember, the Bible said that his brothers hated the way he talked about his dreams. Then now we see him giving first God the glory. I'm like, okay, this guy has grown. And then he interprets the dream. That is the word of knowledge. He says exactly what happens. And then the Lord now, the Spirit of God now moves him further to give strategy and solutions. Okay, this is what you're going to do. And I'm just watching. In my mind, and I'm reading, I'm watching it. I'm like, this is a movie. He's talking. This is what happened. This is what happened. And then this is what you're going to do. So then he now starts to reveal the strategy. Oh, take a 1/5, preserve it, save that for the future. So apparently, if you actually do a study, realize that what's his name? The king used to take tax of like 10%, but now he's now saying to take 20, so he's double the taxes. But then you will not feel it because there'll be so much abundance in the land. He gave all of that, and the people were just looking at it. Even me as a way of this, I'm like, oh my God, what manner of wisdom! Like they looked at him so much that they had to acknowledge the fact when he was done speaking. The Bible said he was done suggesting. Ooh, they didn't even say that it was the word. It was God. It was done suggesting. So whether the Lord just inspired his mouth and he was speaking, and he just had the knowledge and the strategy to say these things. And as he was just saying these things, they knew of a fact that God was with him, that the Spirit of God was in him. And like, these are people that are probably not Christians. They don't even know God, but then they knew, they could recognize, and immediately they recognized it, they made a decision. And I'm like, we have seen this thing before. Remember when Potiphar recognized that God was with Joseph, he was quick to put him in charge of his house. Same thing. Pharaoh recognized that God is with this guy. Quick. He put him in charge. And I'm like, as Christians, do we do that? When we see God moving in his space, why don't we hop into it as quickly as possible, right? So that's what he did. And all of that, immediately his robe was changed. His life has changed. He was given authority. So good. But do you know anything about what's me the most? Let's talk about the concept of bad things, right? Or bad things happening, and then they eat away into the good that you don't even notice that there was a good thing there. That is a concept that we got from there. And you know what the Bible said the strategy is? Saving. So when there are good times, save it. Save it space. Like put a memory around it. Keep it, because it's those good times that you have saved that when you remember and recount them, they will help you in the bad times. I saw that and I was just like, oh my goodness. So you're going through a baptism, think of when God has been good, those memories that you have kept, those things you have jotted, those answers that you've gotten from God. Think of that, ponder on that. That is what will save you in the future. So I got that. Then let's talk about the other principle that was very baffling to me. Do you know what it is to be prosperous, right? And then still remember to be diligent? Because 7 years is a long time. Let's be honest. 7 years is a long time. Joseph would have just enjoyed himself and not done the work, but he did the work so much that it was even more. They had so much that they could give to the entire world. That is Joseph. He has always been a go-getter. He has always been one that I call the spirit of all, something like that. Like he just wanted all. Like he was so diligent that everything in his master's house would be put in his charge. That is it. I'm just like, how is my work ethic? Do I do just my own and be like, I beg, I'm tired, I don't do past my own? This is Joseph that did so much, provided so much solution that he did not just save that city, but he saved the entire world. That is who we have been called to be as Christians. And like God blessed him and restored him so much that he forgot the trouble in his father's house. And then God blessed him in a place that did not even look like it. Oh my, this is such a great stuff. And I don't even know, there's so much, there is just so much. But it just tells me that there is a place for diligence, and God's dreams still come to pass. It's just God's timing. He knows how to plan it. And the reason for the wait most times is for the maturity of the saints, so that the saints get to the point where they can become who they're supposed to become. See, Joseph had to mature to be a king first before he was made a king. Because he would have, the way things happened to him like this, he would have uselessed it. If he had not learned to be that diligent and competent and wise and humble, oh my goodness, he would not have done it, because 7 years was a long time. He would have just faltered. Alright guys, thank you for joining me in Bible study today. If you want more of this, join Bible Masterclass in my church, because there's a lot. There's a lot, and I just have 15 minutes. So, see you next time. Bye.